there, Rivermen fans. I'm Jason Ruff, along with Rivermen head coach John Guicciardell. It's time for another edition of Coffee with Coach, presented by CXT Roasting.
That's good coffee, buddy.
It's always good coffee. Mm-hmm. It's the Rivermen style. It's the Rivermen blend.
Good.
So it's always good coffee from our
coffee.
friends at CXT Roasting. Okay, the Rivermen.
By the way, we should bring Tristan another morning. Remember when he came?
Yeah, we should.
We had the best practice ever. So Tristan, that's for you.
Yeah, Tristan, you're coming back.
One morning.
You're coming back. Well, you need good practices now because we are in the home, not exactly the home stretch, but the light is at the end of the tunnel right now until the postseason. I think it's only about 18 games left to go until the postseason. So it's getting to be about that time.
Yeah, it's getting close, getting real close. I think we're more at like the 15-game mark.
Oh, that's right,
yeah,
15
game mark. And we're going by 3-game increments right now to kind of see where we're at, trying to make it a playoff series every time we play 3 games. So we'll see. We won the series last weekend. Not great hockey, but good enough to pull 2 out of 3. And I was happy. We needed a 3-3 after our long break, the 6 days break. I think the boys were still not kind of in that mode of hockey. You know, the physical is always there, but the mental goes away when you have a little break. So we got them back now. I think they're ready this week to attack the week of practice, and then we have another big practice tomorrow before Knoxville this weekend.
I know that you immediately say 3-3, and it seems like the color goes out of people's faces. But how can playing in those 3-3 weekends, treating them like a playoff series, how can that help you actually in the actual postseason when you need to win a best-of-3 set?
Everything is mental.
Yeah.
Absolutely, everything in hockey is mental. You have to prepare yourself for adversity. You have to know that sometimes we're going to play 3 games in a row. We're not going to feel great. Ice could be bad. There's going to be adversity all over the place. And by doing that, every increment of 3 games, kind of focusing on that, a playoff series, it prepares you, that mental part, because you don't want to look too far away. But for us in the playoffs, being so short of a playoff series, you kind of really focus the 1 week on that 3-game series, and it makes it kind of nice to just prepare our athletes, not only physically but mentally. So we kind of just plan the whole week towards when the games are going to be and how we're going to attack it.
Well, the Rivermen faced a little bit of adversity this past weekend. They won on Friday night, lost a game that they could have won on Saturday, and then it came back and had a great third game. How did you think the Rivermen dealt with that adversity on the Saturday night? Big crowd in Moline, and a tough squad to go against. Quad City was really desperate to get back on the winning side of things.
Yeah, we weren't happy. Of course, it wasn't a very good game on our part. A lot of individual mistakes, a lot of misassignments, a lot of bad turnovers in bad areas. Not really any grit to our game. I think it was one of those games again that we still weren't kind of mentally completely involved in the playoff series, and we let that one go. And it was great atmosphere. It was always. I remember playing, for the Mallards in the old days when the building was full like that every single game. So it was a good and that building looks really nice. I always say when it's packed, a building looks really nice when it's packed and they open up the curtains. And so it was fun to be in that atmosphere. But we realized, I think, as a group that we're not quite ready for that playoff atmosphere because the ice in Quad City's been awful lately. It's like slush, but that's what we're going to get in the South. So I think it had all the elements for us to get ready for a playoff series with big fans and bad ice, but we just couldn't do it. But again, as long as we learn from it, we come back stronger. And next time that happens, we know that there's going to be elements that we can't control. So just control what we can, which is playing the right way.
Well, you also mentioned the ice conditions, but it's also important because I think you and I were talking before Saturday's game. When you go into playoffs, if you go in to take on, say, a Roanoke or a Huntsville or even a Fayetteville, they're going to have those big crowds. So you got to learn to play in that kind of environment where everyone is hating on your guts.
Yeah, that big crowds, the heat of in the South, and bad ice, and then after that you're looking at, I think Quad City played a playoff game that Saturday. Every F1 was finishing. They were finishing every single check, and you have to get used to it, and you have to enjoy it. I always say, if you find peace within that chaos of guys wanting to, hit you hard and go after you, you just move the puck a little quicker, your eyes are a little quicker, the computer works a little quicker, and you're still fine, And that's where we are still not there, and that's okay. With the team, we're missing a lot of, we don't ever make excuses, but we weren't connected because a lot of times, when you have 5-6 different guys in your lineup and they haven't played with a line and this line knows how to do everything, that guy doesn't, all of a sudden you're kind of on a PK. I mean, you have one guy that's never in his spot, so instead of, building your 25-second shift in the ozone, well, you only get 10 and you're always back checking, so it gets frustrating for some guys. So we just got to learn to handle, because we're going to have new players at all times in the SPHL. You just got to kind of learn to handle the situation a little bit better and kind of keep focusing on what we have to.
Well, you are getting a key piece back in Chase Spencer back here in Peoria from the ECHL. How big of an addition is that going to be?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, the kid comes back with a great attitude too. That if you want to talk about an athlete that's thankful and humble and everything that happens to him in life, that's him. And he's not only a great player for us, but he's a great leader, a great person that people love to have around the locker room. And he brings our decor, and that's what I talked about, the 25-second shifts. Like Spence leans, Spence gets us about 10 recoveries in the other corner, the ozone. He knows how to play the Rivermen way. So with him on D in the offensive zone, you always know that he's going to be rotating where he has to, when he has to. So it just makes everything a little bit more connected in what we do. So now we're at 4 Ds that are used to what we do. So we're going to have compared to 3 last weekend. So that's, I know for people that's but for us it's big because if you put 2 guys in the offensive zone, now we can put 2 different pairings that know exactly what we do on face-offs and stuff, and that's big.
Did you watch any of Spencer's games in the ECHL?
I did. I watch all of them. I watch, just like Dad's in Bloomington. I never contact my players when they're ECHL because I always ask my players to be 100% mentally and physically here when they're with us, and I want them to do the same thing with their new team because I want my boys to have success at the next level, but I always watch. I watch how they play, and if they ever call me to have tips on this and that, I'll even cut shifts for them, and I'll do whatever they need to be successful. And I thought he played great when he was in the ECHL.
That's awesome, and you are able to see that film and see, okay, this is what he's doing at this level. This is how we can translate down to our level.
Yeah, and we had a good talk with Tad when they released him. They really love Spence. Unfortunately, they were getting AHL guys back. So, it's like our roster. Sometimes it's full, sometimes it's not. And, but they really like him, and, they have interest in bringing him back and signing him to a full contract next year. But Tad was really adamant about the 2 things that he needs to work on here. So every single day in practice, we're going to end games, we're going to tag that and make sure we cut video for him to know that those are the 2 spots that he was a little weaker in ECHL, and that's what he's got to attack. But if not for that, not only does Kansas City have a great team, but I thought Spence just moved, he did the same thing he did here, moved the puck very confidently, and it was fun to watch.
And he's shooting the puck on net confidently, too.
He's always had a good shot, but now he knows when to release, how to release in the good spots, and he does a way better job at it. So yeah, he had a great run, and that should give him a lot of confidence to play here and just work on those 2 things that he's got to get better at.
You mentioned something a little bit earlier, finding calm, I guess you call it through adversity, when at least in the hockey term, people are trying to take your head off and really pin you to the wall. How did you, as a player, find that calm in that storm?
Chaos?
Yeah, in the chaos. Calm in the chaos.
Yeah,
I like that.
Calm in the chaos. It's really important. I even teach that to my youth hockey players because when you're a hockey player, to be good, you have to be kind of in a bubble. But once you're too much in a bubble, you just see chaotic situation coming after you. If you don't find calm within that, you're always going to, I always say, chaos versus chaos brings war. If you have a calm and a chaotic person, usually the calm kind of survives. So when you enter battles or when you're about to get hit, you have to be very slow in the brain, very calm in those chaos to be able to escape those situations. If you just attack it with chaos and say, I'm going to go through him, he's going to go through me, then it's just war, 2 guys that are never going to escape each other. Yeah, I mean, that's what I feel like are guys that are able to love handling 2 guys coming after him and trying to pin him in the corner, and they love that. Those are the guys that usually get out of those situations and have scoring chances instead of being stuck in that war that's in the corner, in the neutral zone, whatever it's at.
Just embrace that challenge, otherwise it becomes an unstoppable force versus an immovable object.
That's exactly what it is. And then even Trads and my guys that really work hard, but they don't work smart sometimes. They want to bring that chaos with the chaos, and then 2 guys together, nobody's moving, everybody's staying in the battle. So it's just about teaching them how, and we do a lot of reps in practice to make sure they're used to those chaotic situations, that they just find peace. And then with great skating ability and peace, you're able to escape those situations.
Do you think, you call him Daddy, I call him Peoria's Big Papi, but do you think Jordan Ernst kind of embraces that mindset?
From 2 years ago to this year, he's a completely different player in chaos.
Okay.
He actually used to bring chaos to himself for no reason. He would just go for hits that are not there, or put himself in a situation where it made no sense. Now, if he gets a puck in chaos, he comes out with it, relax, his mind, his eyes are in the right spots all the time. And he's our best when it comes to coming out of corners, coming out of chaos, with the puck, with possession, with his eyes. That's not easy to do. And he's the best on the team at doing it, and that's why he has a lot of success.
Why do you think it seems like Jordan Ernst plays better back on defense as opposed to forward?
Because he sees everything.
Okay.
And again, as a winger, there's more chaos. Because remember, if you get a breakout pass, the D's right on top of you leaning, you have to know the space before you get the puck. You have to actually, when you get that pass, put your stick in a different position to make sure he can't get it while getting to that space. It's a lot of chaos, and it's a lot, you feel stuck a lot. So Jordan Ernst plays really well when he's at center or at D, because once the breakout happens, you're in the middle of the ice, you have everything in front of you. It's a lot easier to skate, find space that way.
Yeah, you can see, like you said, see the ice, but also you can build up that speed.
You can build that
power.
speed and see everything else, and it's key because he's very good away from the puck. But when it comes to defensive zone breakout or neutral zone transition, he struggles as a winger, being like pinched by a D or like chaotic situations. So, and he still does the job, but he doesn't escape that pressure as a winger, and as a center in the D does.
Right. It almost seems like when he builds up that speed, he's incredibly hard to stop.
Yeah, and as a D also, he's first back coming back, and he's got the full 200 feet of ice.
Yeah.
So like, he just escapes the first guy, then he uses his legs, and he's got all this space. So he's like every player. We all have strengths. They all have strengths and weaknesses, and we know where he fits well. But at the same time, Jordan Ernst is a complete team player. So if I need him wing, he's going to play. He's going to do whatever it takes, and it's very hard mentally for a player to go from center, wing, D. You don't know day to day, but he's so strong in the brain right now. He's mentally, he took a lot of big strides, so nothing bothers him, and he knows that he can be a factor and a driver of the offense at any position.
I mean, he's daddy, right?
He's daddy right now, man. He's and well earned, man. It's not easy to see. I remember the last one, I think it was Marcel. Like, it's not easy to score 30 goals in this league. It's really hard, and he's done it like half the year on D. I mean, so it's pretty impressive.
I know we talk a lot about veteran guys. I want to switch focus to some diamonds in the rough. You're famous, I think, over the last couple of years especially, just finding guys who maybe get overlooked, but you bring them in here, and they become just gems for you, especially in a late playoff push. Who do you think in that locker room right now could be considered a diamond in the rough so far? I know we've got some time before playoffs, but who's really stood out to you and kind of earned that role?
There's a lot. There's a lot. We love playing a certain way in Peoria. So for us, when me and Eric bring him in, it takes me 10 minutes, and I know if he's going to do the job or not. And like guys like Carson Baptiste that came out of nowhere, he's becoming one of our best forwards, best wingers for sure. And then my Mick Chesney from Macon, I think it was a steal. That kid is playing phenomenal hockey for us. Garrett Devine, I was lucky. Big Red in Colorado was my captain here in Peoria. And he told Devine and his family, because they play hockey together, to come here in Peoria, which, thank you, Red, I appreciate it.
Thanks, Red.
Yeah, appreciate it. So he's been, and he keeps building. Yeah. Garrett came in, I thought he was good, but now compared to what he was 2 months ago, he's really good. Foxy. Foxy, getting Foxy from Pensacola.
For Caden Cahill.
Yeah, like Foxy is exactly what a Rivermen player is. He's good. He's awesome. And for some fans, like a lot of fans just look at scoring. We look at pretty much everything but scoring. You know what I mean? And Manny brings a lot to the table because he can play center also in wings. So it's really big. So those guys are, and of course the Carlos Funaras that I signed over summer. That's those, like the five I mentioned there, and now we're keep adding to that group are guys that they play the Peoria way. Like they reload like there's no tomorrow. There's not one selfish bone. They're going to do whatever it takes for the team. When it's their time to go to the net, when it's time to rush D back check, they do it. And when it's time in the D zone to block a shot, they'll do whatever it takes. But they have the speed to get there before the opponent, to get first touch on everything. So Man, we're lucky. We have a good group again, and then of course we have the Alec Bear,
Oh,
and
of
the
course,
Jordan Ernst,
the
and all
triumvirate.
Yeah, and those guys that we know what we're gonna get also. So I'm lucky, man. Me and Eric are lucky that guys buy in and they play the right way, and it's fun.
I need to ask, do we have an update on Carlos Fornaris? I know some fans are.
Yeah, lower body's gonna be out for a while. Expected to come back for the playoffs for sure, which is good news. Bad news because he drives his offense in a different way.
Yeah, he does.
Like, by his reloads, by his forecheck, by his feed, by his speed. So he's going to be missed tremendously. But again, we wouldn't find any Carson Batiste, or we wouldn't trade for Fox if we had those guys always healthy. So hopefully another guy comes in, another diamond to add to our playoff roster and keep going that there. And then Carlos will be fresh for the playoffs and healthy and ready to attack him.
That's key, getting a guy like Carlos Fornaris back in time for the playoffs. I know Eric Levine was talking to me a couple weeks ago, saying like he's a big part of that identity line part too. Like, you remember last year how good that identity line was. Now it seems like we have another one here.
Well, we have a few. Yeah, when you put those 6 guys I just mentioned together, they just go. They're an identity line, and so like I said, hopefully we find another guy that jumps in and does that role and does what he have to do. And with all the effort Carlos, did this year, it's going to be good for him to get a little rest at the same time. I know it's not fun, but he's such a man. He became a guy that really embraces Peoria, our city, and the team. And I know he's going to work extremely hard to make sure he's at 100% when he comes back in about 4 or 5 weeks.
I know a lot of folks have made mention of the expanded rosters in the ECHL, of all the teams in the Fed below us. What do you think has been the most challenging aspect of the season so far for you? I know we have only about 15 games left to go plus playoffs, so we're not totally done yet. But you've been doing this for a long time. What's been the most challenging part about this year, and how have you attacked that challenge?
Well, this year's been tough, man. Injury-wise and call-up-wise, it's been really tough. It's been tough for every team in the league. I think the biggest thing is the expanding rosters in the ECHL. That hurts us tremendously. The Federal League is a lower level. When you watch hockey, is tough to watch. So for us, even if we lose a few guys because they get paid a little bit more, because some teams have a lot of money in the Fed, they don't have any rules pretty much, so they can pay whatever they want. That's not going to hurt us as much. It only will if our league, as coaches, you kind of see patterns developing, and we know what we need to make sure that we keep, keeping those, retaining those really good players at our level. So that's important. But for me, as soon as they said in the last summer that they were expanding to full rosters in ECHL and expanding their rosters on the ice for games, and also their lineup on what they can have on the roster, it hurts us because you got to remember there's 30 some ECHL teams. And if they take 2 players from our league, that's 60 good players, really good players. Yeah, I mean, it goes really fast. And then you have all the call-ups during the year. So, I always say this, if, let's say, everybody knows here the Chicago Blackhawks are the good days. Yeah. If another team would call up Patrick Kane with Jonathan Toews and Duncan Keith, well, the Chicago Blackhawks would not be the Blackhawks anymore.
No, they wouldn't.
So for our team, when you call up the Dadzenov, the Spencers, all those good players, like now around where we have Cook and we have all those guys up there, when you call up those guys, we can't be the same team either. Right. You understand what I mean? So it's very hard for a coach. We'll never make excuses here in Peoria because we're just going to keep rebuilding, next man up, and we try to teach them as much as we can so that when they come in, they're prepared. But it's not the same, and it's harder. Right. Yeah, I mean, when you have your full roster of guys that know exactly what to do in every situation, you come in game and you just have a plan to put the right guys out against the right people, and you're good. Now it's like you're scrambling. So I think that's going to keep hurting us until either we expand our rosters or we up the cap a little bit. And I know my owner's probably not happy, but it's, those are the kind of the solutions you can have for us to be able that even if you get 2 call-ups, if you have a 20-man roster or 22, now you have other guys that have been practicing with you, so it's like, next man up, they know what we're doing. But when you have to bring guys from, the Fed or bring somebody that or college that never played, it takes a while to get them going.
How important are relationships with those players? Not just the players you're trying to get into the system, but also to keep guys here. Like, I mean, I'm sure Jordan Ernst could take a call-up anytime he wants to, but he's bought in here to Peoria. Alec Bear, Zach Wilkie, same way. How important are the relationships between the staff and the players, and not only in terms of keeping them happy, but keeping them bought in and totally committed to the Rivermen uniform?
Yeah, it's tough, man. I'm lucky. Our leadership group's always been great, and they get called up. Like Will gets called up all the time, and he just he's happy here. He has a job here. It depends on the situation. But for us, I always say I'm so lucky because I have a leadership group that allows our coaching staff to really squeeze hard, but yet they know how much we love them. So it allows us to squeeze a little bit harder and demand a little bit more, knowing that our relationship with all our players are going to be for the rest of our lives. So we're, and it's the way to attack the hockey now. They have to trust me and Eric. We have to trust them, and we really work hard on those relationships. And they know, even though we squeeze a lot, and I'm Guy and not always easy to deal with, I always have the best interests of their careers at heart. I want them to be the best version of themselves as not only a human but also as a player, and they know that. And once you know that, you can squeeze an athlete and they're going to give you a lot.
Well, they know you're a transformational coach, not a transactional coach.
Yes, like we talked about. Transactional coach is always going to be a little bit there when things are going bad. Like a little bit, but for the most part, you are like you have to be now. If you're just a transactional coach now these days, you're not.
No.
Your players are not going to stay with you.
Right.
And then, and even Ernie, I talked to him, like I'm so lucky the loyalty of our guys. Like I told Ernie like a month ago about like, I love you, buddy, and I want you here, but like you're too good now.
Yeah.
It's time to go. And he's like, yeah, we'll see. He's like, and they are. I had the same feeling. To me, happiness is important.
Yeah.
Because if they play here or play in the coast, they'll make $200 more a week. But at the same time, are you going to be happy?
Yeah.
Are you going to have the culture, like that locker room, like ELE, man? Everybody loves everybody.
Oh yeah.
They're like it's every day a party in there. Like for $200 more, like I always say, if it's a 21-year-old that has a chance to play in the A and stuff like that, go for it right away.
Yeah.
But I think Jordan Ernst that played in the coast before, the Alec Bears that played years in the coast, they're like, you know what, is $200 more important, or do I want to be happy in life?
Yeah.
Because in 20 years, if you won a championship in the coast or you won a championship DSP, nobody's going to know or care. The league names might change by then.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to know. You played pro, you won a championship. It doesn't matter what level.
Right.
And nobody's going to know in 20 years if you made, $650 instead of $400. Like, nobody's going to know anything.
Right.
So that's where I think we have smart enough athletes to realize, do I want to go to ECHL and be grinding as a third liner and having to like never know like if my spot is secure, or do I want to be here, still have like an AHL feeling that we train like it, we do the right things, we win a lot, but every single day you come to the rink happy. And when you get to the 26, 27-year-old, happiness is really important.
It is really important.
And I was the same way. I remember I came back my second year in Peoria because my teammates were phenomenal, and I had all these offers, but I'm like, you know what, I'm going to spend the whole year in the ECHL with my guys because I love my guys. I want to be there. I was happy, and that was more important to me than just kind of chasing at that time. You know what I mean? And I think, why do you think Jordan Ernst has a lot of success? Because his mind finally is not chasing all over, and he knows he's going to spend the whole year here.
Well, it's an important weekend coming up for the Peoria Rivermen this Friday and Saturday as they host the Knoxville Ice Bears. Friday night, it's rebrand night. Peoria Spirits night the Rivermen will be wearing specialty Peoria Spirits uniforms. I love rebrand night every single year. It gets even better. Plus, $3 beer night for domestic drafts. You don't want to miss that. And of course, on Saturday at Chicago Blackhawks night, the Rivermen wearing specialty Chicago Blackhawks jerseys, plus a free Rivermen youth jersey to the first 1,000 kids 12 and under in the building. All right. I'm not going to ask you what's been your favorite rebrand night, but you got to admit, these ones this year are sick.
Yeah, they're really nice, but I got to go with my buddy Corey Dolan, man.
The penicillin. I will go with the penicillin last year, too.
Just because I've been bothering Bart for a few years. I'm a big Nashville Predator colors, and they look like it. And I want like our third jerseys to be Nashville Predators. Bart, a little insight there to you. But I really like that color, and my boy Corey Dolan, he's the owner of Prek Shot, so I gotta. And he's always been great to me, and I'm lucky enough to coach his 3 kids in hockey. So that was my favorite one. I just saw the new one this year. Really nice jerseys also, but I got to go with last year. I love those colors.
I do have to go with kind of last year's too, only because they're the only jersey my girlfriend told me. He's like, all right, I want you to get one of those
there
for
you
me.
Go,
Yeah,
there
so
you go.
my girlfriend has a Peoria Penicillin jersey.
You go.
But no, the Peoria Spirits These jerseys really good. I think I'm gonna have to buy one of these for my mom
that's
for
a
her
cool
birthday.
jersey. I love the color too. Yeah,
Yeah,
cool
a little Seattle Kraken.
Correct.
In there.
I like it. I like it.
The Peoria Spirits taking the ice Friday night at 7:15 p.m. against the Knoxville Ice Bears, and then the Peoria Rivermen again back on Saturday, 7:15 p.m. Friday-Saturday series. Don't want to miss it. Guy, should be a fun one.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks again
For Jean-Guy Trudel, I'm Jason Ruff. This has been Coffee with Coach.